watching a film with friends, missing VHS videotape repeating.
Welcome back, Creeps and Peeps fam and crew. Today we're looking at Magnolia. Released on Christmas Day 1999. Written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. This is his third movie. First one came out in 1995-96 called Sydney, but released as Hard 8. And he had Boogie Nights 1997. And then Magnolia was his third film, 1999. Now, I probably, like most people, heard of Paul Thomas Anderson based off Boogie Nights. Yeah, it was a movie about pornography in the 70s and early 80s, so it's just kind of cool and fun, whatever. But then you really watch it and you realize it's about something a lot more than that, and it's not so gimmicky. It's actually a really good film, especially made for a guy who was like 25 at the time. He was only about 27, 28, I think, when he made Magnolia. So I was a really big fan of his. I don't remember if I was ever able to see Hard 8 before Magnolia, or if it was really hard to find until Magnolia came out, and then I think they released a VHS of it. But this one in particular is actually a 2-tape. Well, all Magnolias on VHS are 2-tape sets. This is a For Your Consideration Oscar screener that I bought off eBay sometime back in probably 2000 or so. So For Your Consideration, Magnolia Part 1 of 2. For screening purposes only, Part 2 of 2. 188 minutes. Fantastic film, extremely long, but it doesn't really feel like it, except maybe a couple spots it kind of slows down. Of course, you have Jeremy Blackman, Tom Cruise, Melinda Dillon, Philip Baker Hall, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Ricky Jay, William H. Macy, Alfred Molina, Julianne Moore, John C. Reilly, Jason Robards, and Melora Walters. So Philip Baker Hall, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Ricky Jay, William H. Macy, Alfred Molina, Julianne, John C. Reilly, and Melora Walters, all of course were in his previous film Boogie Nights. And then Melora Walters and Philip Seymour Hoffman were in his, and John C. Reilly, of course, were in his first film, Hard 8 / Sydney, of course, with Philip Baker Hall, who is the star of that movie. This was one of my favorite films for a very long time. In fact, I have a huge, like, maybe 4 foot by 6 foot canvas banner that they hung up in movie theaters that hung on my wall for years and years in my bedroom when I was a teenager and throughout most of my apartments. And I still technically have it now. It's in storage in the back closet. But I was such a big fan of this movie that I actually read the script multiple times before I ever saw the movie. I didn't have a chance to see it in theaters, sadly, because I left the theater business, I think, in November of 99 and didn't really go back for almost a year till like the late 2000. But thinking about it, I went out and found this, which is the Magnolia shooting script, Paul Thomas Anderson. This is a hardbound version. I don't know what happened to the paperback one that I owned, but the paperback one is the one that I originally bought off the shelves at Borders Books in Overland Park, Kansas, and read it multiple times. Plus, it's cool because there's an interview with P.T. Anderson in the back, talking about a lot of stuff, pictures from the set. But I read the script multiple times before I had a chance to see the movie. Remember, it finally came out to video stores. I rented it and watched it as fast as possible. What's even interesting about the VHS tapes for the rental copies was obviously throughout the title credits, opening credits, everything's kind of widescreen. Then when the movie kicks in, it goes to full frame. There's certain parts of the movie where like it'll start full frame, and then like the cropping will kind of expand out and it'll go into widescreen for certain scenes and then go back. I've never seen any other movies ever do that on VHS. I do have another copy of this, like a regular version, that is a 2-tape. I think now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if they released Magnolia in widescreen as 2-tape sets, because the other one I have somewhere, I believe, is Pan and Scan. And then another copy I got used that I actually am selling in my vendor case right now. This one is 100% 235:1 aspect ratio, which is nice. I mean, this movie is a lot, especially for a teenager to enjoy. I think I was 18, I think, when this movie came out. But I mean, it's out there. It's crazy. I think it's a better film. Like, I was pulling for Paul Thomas Anderson in 1999 into the 2000 Academy Awards for everything, obviously. And I think between this film and then the one that won the Academy Award for Best Picture that year, American Beauty. I get why Magnolia didn't win because it's kind of crazy and out there, but then again, aspects of American Beauty were the same. They're kind of out there and weird. But it's also interesting that I decided to do, well, it's purposeful that I decided to do this video today because just last night, I finally sat down for the first time in 8 years and watched Phantom Thread. Now, Punch Drunk Love was a follow-up to this movie in 2002. I screened it the night before it came out because I was a projectionist. There Will Be Blood, 2007. I screened on 35mm the night before it came out because I was a projectionist. Then The Master we saw it digitally because I was still in the theater business in 2012. Inherent Vice, 2014. I saw in theater digitally because I was working in the theater business. Actually, right around the time Inherent Vice came out, we actually did a 35mm screening both of Boogie Nights, and then a week later we did Magnolia. So I did both those movies reel to reel on 35mm as a projection, so that was really cool. I actually did a screening for this for the employees of the theater. So I had to run this movie I think 2 or 3 times. I did a test screening probably, and then one for the employees, and then one final one for the actual show. It was 9-10 reels long. But for whatever reason, Phantom Thread came out in 2017, and I just didn't watch it. I was always busy. I never really sat down to watch full-length movies. I wanted to be in the right headspace, and then I just kind of forgot about it. And then 2021, whatever it was, 22, Licorice Pizza came out. And my daughter actually went and saw it in theater and told me about it, and I just couldn't find it in me to go watch it in theater. I didn't want to watch it, on my phone at work. And whenever I was at my house, there's always all these distractions. I could never sit down and watch it. But now there's all this talk currently about One Battle After Another, which 2 weeks ago I didn't even know was Paul Thomas Anderson's movie. I just thought it was some DiCaprio picture because I don't really pay attention to new movies as much as I should. So then when I found out it's PTA, I got more invigorated, more excited to actually go see it in theater. So, but the thing is, kind of like reading authors, seeing filmmakers, is I missed 2 of his previous films. So I can't watch the new one until I watch the other 2. So last night I sat down and watched Phantom Thread, loved it, thought it was fantastic. In a weird way, it's like a classier, more refined version of Punch Drunk Love. In a weird way. Somehow they're interconnected. So perhaps tonight I might sit and watch Licorice Pizza, and then maybe next week I'm going to go see One Battle After Another. But out of all the Paul Thomas Anderson movies, I do like them all individually for their own reasons. Even Hard 8/Sydney I really dig for certain ways, but Magnolia just really clicks with me because it's probably one of the last times he really went full P.T. Anderson. I mean, there's a little bit of wacky and quirkiness in Punch Drunk Love, but it is still a bit more reserved because it's more of a Jacques Tati film, kind of quaint and small, but still had some interesting camera work. But this is the last time Paul Thomas Anderson was just balls to the wall, moving the camera, craziness, kind of eccentric, but still has extremely great writing. If you ever get a chance, you can probably find it on YouTube, but of course it's also on the DVD and on the Blu-ray of this movie. But there's about an hour and a half long behind-the-scenes documentary called That Moment. It's where just filmmaker just follows the whole production of the movie, see everybody behind the scenes talk, and it's really interesting seeing them watch, or seeing how the actors interact with each other, behind the scenes. And of course, it's kind of funny because right back here, if you can see this thing, that's actually a 35mm, 7-minute long film, music video from Paul Thomas Anderson and Radiohead that came out in 2016. That I don't even know how many copies of that exist, probably less than 50, maybe 100 at most, that they sent out to theaters to show on 35mm. So not a lot of those, very rare. I won't tell you how I got it. Anyway, Magnolia, if you haven't seen this movie, prepare yourself. It's 3 hours, 15 minutes long. It does move fast. I mean, the prologue takes forever before the movie kicks in, but it's just crazy, out there, beautiful, psychotic, hilarious, and just plain weird and biblical. So let me know what you guys think. What's your favorite P.T. Anderson movie? And comment below, and I'll see you next time. Like, comment, share, subscribe.